Very good. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, here and to all the participants, and welcome to this PIC webinar. My name is Marco Foschini, and I represent the Cluster Agrifood of the Emilia-Romagna region, together with Célia Gavot. And we also bring you the greetings of our president, Mr. Massimo Ambanelli, and our vice president, Mr. Francesco Capozzi. So today the topic will be related to cross-regional ecosystems in order to enhance digital agri-food services with particular impact for the small and medium enterprises. First of all, I'd like to thank the partners of the PIC group, Plant Intercluster Group, and the partners of the CREDAS project, Cluster Agrifood Friuli Venezia Giulia. And at this point, I invite Mr. Pierpaolo Rovere, Director of Cluster Agrifood of the Friuli Venezia Giulia region, to welcome this event and the participants for a very brief comment. Please, Pierpaolo.
Hello, good morning to everyone. Welcome to the webinar of today, also from Friuli Venezia Giulia region. I am Pierpaolo Rovere, the director of the Agrifood cluster of our region, and I would like to thank Marco and all his staff for the great job they did organizing this presentation. I hope every one of you will find something of interesting on what will be said today. So please, Marco, go ahead.
Thank you, Pierpaolo. I'm sure that this collaboration will be fruitful also to enhance the role of digital innovation hubs to strengthen the regional ecosystems and the benefit for the enterprises. At this point, I would like to invite Pauline Boden of VG Police Valais for welcoming the audience. Good morning, Pauline, and thanks also for your availability and collaboration for the realization of this event. Please, Pauline.
Yes, hi everybody. I'm sorry for my voice, I'm a bit sick, but I will try to be clear. So my name is Pauline. I'm working at DG Police Valais cluster, so the plant French cluster. And we are coordinating the PIC network. So it's a network of clusters in the field of plants and agri-food systems. And so it's a network established over 10 years ago. At the start with few clusters, and now we are 14 clusters working all together and sharing our best practices, our main challenges, and the main objective is to make connection between our members. So we organize every year a big event to really try to connect more people, and so that the innovation systems can be developed in Europe, that the main challenges can be addressed with all forces joined. So we have different topic of interest, and we're trying to organize also webinars during the year addressing these different challenges. So this is the kind of webinar we are like branding because we think it's important to connect our PIC network to some projects and to some initiatives. So apart from the webinars, we also meet every month all together to talk about the news, the events going on, the different calls for proposals, and the projects we can build on all together. So really working on all European initiatives around the agri-food systems and the plant sector. And finally, we are also exchanging about our own networking. So we are all, as cluster, we are all involved in some European events, but also regional or national events. And so we aim at, our aim is to exchange about that. And so the cross-regional ecosystem is really important for us, and we are deeply at the core of this type of exchanges and organizations. So this is why also it's really important for us to be here today. And just quickly to invite you all to our next event. It will happen during the IHC Congress, so it's the International Horticultural Congress in Angers this August. It's really a huge event gathering international organizations, researchers, companies, and so on for a week. And in the frame of this event, we organize a peak learning expedition. So the aim is to gather European experts around the plant sector, and we will have like a planning of 3 days with a special workshop to build up European projects. But will not be too long here because we don't have time. So please write me an email if you're interested to join this learning expedition. That will be a great moment to know each other better and to build up some concrete projects and initiatives all together. And I wish you a really good webinar with the PIC with the PIC group.
Thank you very much, Pauline, for your presentation. As I told you before, the scope of this event is to enhance the importance of the knowledge sharing. Therefore, the event is addressed first of all to cluster managers and staff of clusters and associations of enterprising. We think very important the application of technology in practical terms. So also the demonstration activity is very important in order to match demand and offer of innovation. And therefore the interregional cooperation is very important to strengthen the occasions of knowledge exchange and the related application of technology in the agri-food value chains. So this is mainly the scope of this event. And very briefly, the program, as you can see in the slide, in a few minutes, I will present the CREDAS project, considering the cross-regional collaboration for the provision of services in the agri-food value chains. Then there will be a number of interventions with in relation to further good practices. For example, Natasha Merzlikar will present her good practice representing the International Investor Service of Logistics Center, Austria. Then there will be the presentation of Dovile Gasparadisiut, EU project manager from ACTA, France. And then there will be the presentation of Nicolas Nguyente of Agri Sud-Ouest Innovation about another Smart Agri-Hubs service project called DIVAX. And finally, there will be the speech of Alberto Campo and Esteban Pelayo of Eurada about some interesting initiatives, in particular the initiative Cluster Meet Regions, that also facilitates the interaction and collaboration among regional ecosystems. This is the program, and then of course at the end there will be a final discussion involving all the speakers and eventual questions from the participants. So why mutualizing digital and green services and infrastructures? So as I told you before, it is very important to guarantee knowledge exchange, also because the regional ecosystems are very strategic, are key to implement innovation in the value chains, but it is very important to reduce the gap between demand and offer of innovation, and enhancing the adoption of these innovative solutions. And this is made possible thanks particularly to the exchange of experience and through the interaction among regional ecosystems. In my opinion, I think that the PIC group is doing a very important job in this term. And it is also the objective of the CREDAS project that will be presented in a few minutes. At the end of the session, we will make some considerations about the importance of mutualizing knowledge and the importance to enhance the adoption of technological solutions. And I will be starting in a few minutes about the presentation of the CREDAS project. As I told you before, this is a project that has been approved within the Smart Agri-Hubs project of Horizon 2020, responding to a cascade funding call. And the idea started from Cluster Agrifood Emilia Romagna and Agrifood Friuli Venezia Giulia, that together have presented a proposal last September. Next. In just one slide, I'd like to present you the regional research and innovation system of the Emilia Romagna, composed of different subjects in a sort of participatory planning that includes research centers, innovation centers, enterprises, technopoles that facilitate the uptake of innovation, and the clusters. Cluster Agrifood is one of the 7 clusters of Emilia Romagna, and this situation allows also a cross-sectorial development and implementation of other projects. Next. Briefly, the Cluster Agrifood. It is a no-profit association with the aim to promote innovation in the agri-food value chains, and the 4 thematic priorities are sustainable agriculture and precision farming, related to the primary production of crop production, animal production, and aquaculture, and then integrity and nutritional quality, also in collaboration with the cluster health. The third priority is related to processes, agro-industrial plants, and sustainable packaging. And the last one is related to circular economy, byproducts and waste valorization, and biomass chemistry. And there is also the interaction with the other 3 internal working groups, projects, training, and communication. Next, please. What we do, mainly support to members, allowing occasions of interaction with other partnerships at the regional, national, and international level, and including also services of matching between demand and offer of innovation, and the important role of demo farms. Another institutional support to the Emilia-Romagna regional administration in relation to the update of the S3 implementation, and supporting the region for the internationalization policy, and also allowing the implementation of local circular economy initiatives. Of course, networking in Emilia-Romagna at national level and EU level. 83 members from public and private sources, and mainly involving more than 25,000 small enterprises in the different value chains. Next. Briefly, our partner Agrifood Friuli Venezia Giulia, who is an important player, acting as local agency, supporting the innovative development of the agri-food and bioeconomy sector, in addition to the regional representation within the regional, national, and European working groups. It fosters the clustering activities, allowing the interaction between its associates, and also acting as innovation hub, digital innovation hub, for the development of the main innovative solutions. And also education and training is one of the main actions of provided to the stakeholders. Next. A couple of projects in particular related to the valorization of small local productions in the food sector, and for the valorization of small and medium enterprises in the agri-food sector. And another important example is the project I Am Friuli Venezia Giulia, in order to foster the traceability, the sustainability, and the quality of local productions. Next. And in a few minutes, I will present to you the CREDAS project, with the aim to mainly to reduce the gap between demand and offer of innovation, facilitating the adoption of digital solutions, in particular for the small and micro enterprises, to increase know-how and competitiveness of the local business activities. About the methodology, we have pointed out the importance to promote business innovation and the technology adoption, and also the environmental performance. The implementation of the project is related to ecosystem services, to business services, technology and adoption services, and also training activities. An important part is played by the cooperation among digital innovation hubs in Europe and in other Italian regions, fostering synergies and collaboration. And this is, of course, the subject of this session. Next. A wide range of partners and stakeholders at the European level, as you can see, involving the Smart Agri Hubs partners, the PIC group members, other important working groups and associations, as for example the CLAN, the Italian Agrifood Cluster, and different clusters and networks, for example, Speed Network, Spring and Big, and also the important involvement of sub-platforms of the EU S3 initiative, high-tech farming, traceability and big data, ingredients for a circular economy, and Berry Plus. And of course, the small and medium enterprises fully involved in these initiatives. A few words about the organigram. The two partners, Cluster Agrifood and Agrifood FVG, represent the members of the steering committee, supported by an external technical group and by an international advisory group. Of course, with a strict relation with Wageningen Economic Research as coordinator of Smart Agri Hubs. And of course, the focus is to involve as much as possible the stakeholders, mainly farmers, food processing companies, technicians, other digital innovation hubs, and competence centers. Next, please. Very briefly, the phases and activities. 2 phases with the coordination of Friuli Venezia Giulia, and 2 phases with the coordination of Emilia Romagna. This is also one of the topics of this webinar in terms of enhancing the different specializations of the regional ecosystems. For example, Emilia Romagna can focus the attention of the project on the demonstration actions in the experimental farms of Emilia Romagna, whereas Friuli Venezia Giulia is more concentrated on providing high quality training sessions to the small and medium enterprises. And of course, the business support in order to enhance the occasions of participation to the relevant partnerships for the individual companies of the 2 regions. Next, here you can see some examples of regional demo farms of Emilia Romagna, related to crop productions, animal productions, and aquaculture, that are the main thematic environments implemented thanks to the activities of Cluster Agrifood. For example, Cerzo, located in the city of Piacenza, in the western part of the region, is a research center for animal production, and with an important activity of controlling the animal well-being, and thanks to the use of important softwares and equipment, and in order to provide well-being for the improvement of the production, mainly of the dairy sector. The steward of Parma is involved in crop production, and with a particular focus on industrial tomato production, which is an excellence of the western part of the Emilia-Romagna region, and also representing an important production at the national level. And it is equipped with, it is ready to provide experimental activities for representing organic production and traditional production at the disposal of the farmers. SICA Parma is also involved as one of the oldest demo farms in Italy. This year is the anniversary of the 100 years of activity, so providing important research and innovation activities for the agri-food value chains, mainly industrial tomato and vegetal productions. And so on. We can go on with the other demo farms, and I am ready also for further questions in case of need of more details. Together with Friuli Venezia Giulia, we are working on the implementation of the cluster speed network that involves other Italian clusters. And this is also one of the main projects involving our activities, also because we believe in exchange of experience and interaction among different regional ecosystems in agri-food, in bioeconomy, green chemistry, and environmental issues. Next, as a conclusion, I think that it is very important to increase knowledge and facilitate the adoption and the application of technological solutions, and also supporting the farmer in the use of digital tools in agriculture and agroindustry. It is also important to create occasions of demonstration, matching the demand and the offer of innovation, thanks to the implementation of demonstration actions that have to be able also to guarantee the economic sustainability of the use of these solutions. And of course, therefore, networking at the EU level is very important to guarantee cross-fertilization of these important solutions. I think that this is the last slide, and of course, we are at your disposal for further questions. And at this point, I invite Natasha to make her presentation about her best practice. Please, Natasha. Natasha, we can't hear you. Could you please open the microphone? Sorry, Natasha, I cannot hear you. I don't know if also Celia confirms.
Do you hear me now? Yes, now we can.
Okay. No, it's okay.
I need to put off my headphones, so it seems that it's not working. Sorry for that.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
Please.
So thank you again for the introduction, Marco. Thank you, Marco and Celia, for the possibility to introduce our logistics hub and also our food project to all of you. I didn't know that there would be so many fully interesting project partners from other EU projects. So it's really, really cool. And I'm really happy to join this meeting and to hear and learn then afterwards about all the other projects. My name is Natasha Zmerzlika. I'm working for the LCR, Logistics Center Austria Süd, which is the one and only, let's say, logistics hub in Carinthia, which is the southern, most southern region of Austria, which is, how can I say, neighboring countries or positioned in near Italy and Slovenian border. And yeah, maybe I can introduce a little bit what our governmental location agency is. So we are owned by the region of Carinthia for 50% through the KBV. So this is not so important for you. Just important to know that our shareholders are the region of Carinthia with 50%. And from the beginning of the year 2021, even the ÖBB, which might be known to you as the Austrian Federal Railways, overtook other 50% of our quotes of our shares. So this is who we are owned by. What are we doing? What are our tasks? So we are working on three main, let's say, objectives. One is, of course, the international promotion of the logistics hub, fostering and encouraging national and foreign investors to invest into the hub. Furthermore, we are also developing, of course, the logistic hub and working on several projects, of which also on EU level. One of which is our so-called CLAC project. The CLAC is the abbreviation in Italian, so it's called FITAR. So it's the Food Innovation and Technology Center, Logistics Center in Carinthia. What is Carinthia all about? I guess most of you will already have, I don't know, at least passed through Carinthia, if not even spent some time here for vacation or other things. So Carinthia is the southernmost Austrian region, as I already said, bordering to Italy and Slovenia. So it's about, I don't know, 1.5 hours from Udine. So it's really in a good, let's say, geographic position to reach all the countries or the northern countries of Italy. What is really important is that we are really located on the crossroad of the two main railway axis, the 10T axis. So it's the first, the Alpine Western Balkan corridor and the Baltic Adriatic axis, which makes our terminal, we even have a terminal here, more important also as a, let's say, hinterland hub for the port of Trieste and the port of Koper, etc. So this is a little bit our key position here in Carinthia. What about just some key fact? The local GDP per capita in Carinthia is about almost 37,000 euros. Approximately 2,500 companies are exporting, and Italy is, of course, one of our most important markets beside Germany and China and Japan, and even the United States. What about our unemployment rate? We have at least 6.8% of people still looking for a job. So let's come to our project even. And maybe in short, just to tell you why the position of the logistics hub is what it is. We already told you that we are located in a very favorable position, being able to reach out to the southern German markets, as well as to Slovenia, to the northern Italy markets, and of course all Austria. And due to the position and the good relationship we have with the port of Trieste, we are also looking for, let's say, further markets in terms of China, etc. So this is something in the food sector that we are going for in the future. This is a picture of the logistics hub Fürnitz, which is located near Villach. You can see we have two big zone areas. So the northern area, which is now being developed, and the southern area, which is almost covered by all the railway or industrial companies. Next, please. Just go on, yeah. And why we were somehow looking for a USP for our logistics hub is that we saw that we cannot be a logistics hub for everyone and everybody. Why not going to see where could there be some kind of focus area? And in many talks with the port of Trieste and also Koper, we found out that a really lot of food processing, etc., is going through that port or those ports. And we already for years we were talking with Chinese investors, Chinese regions, etc., and they told us that there is that big demand for excuse me, products of a high quality, not mass products, but even small series of high qualitative products. And this is why we said, okay, we have China, we have our cooperation with the two ports, and we have space. So why not go for such a project? And I saw that there are so many food hubs already in Europe. We do in Carinthia, we do not have yet a real food cluster, so combining with the ones I already heard of, but we have two big clusters of food in Lower Austria and Upper Austria. And we found out through this project FITA that there is, let's say, not comparable to Italian clusters, of course, but we have a sort of interesting capacity identified for Carinthia with regard to food and food processing. So we are talking about the production of ham, of sausages, etc., etc. Okay, but of course, smaller production units. This is why we began to think of the food as such, as a competence center. And we started already 2019 with the idea to create such a logistics and food hub. And what did we see? We saw that Austrian companies, even the big ones, export, or let's say send their food products to big slicing industry plants in Germany, where everything is sliced, and then it's coming back to Austria, where it's then distributed to the retailers and wholesalers. And we just said, what a mess, because we need to see how we can make the EU greener, and we need to see where can we focus on in order to save time and money for all those companies. And yeah, therefore we started a little bit to analyze the situation and to see what could be the needs of food processors, farmers, etc. And it came out that instead of this big full automated slicing farm and logistic hub that we intended to realize in 2020, turned out to become a more, how can I say, flexible, semi-automized logistics and processing center for a subcontracting processing center for SMEs. A very, very good example is, and this is what I am going to tell you, is the Pharma Food Group from Parma, which showed us how the family started their project and how they became what they are today, a service provider for smaller companies, but even for bigger companies. And we saw that the mix of those two could really be feasible. So we said, okay, let's focus a little bit more on that type of services. I then started somehow to make a small analysis of the market situation in northern Italy, even in Slovenia and southern Germany. And in Friuli Venezia Giulia, I get to know Pierpaolo Rovere and il suo team, and his team with Michela Martorelli, and they were helping me to find out how such a food processing and logistics center could maybe be defined and developed. And together with them, we had some, let's say, inquiries done with the members of Agrifood cluster. And we saw that there's really the need for the small companies to find a partner that could also deal with those small quantities. And this is why we then said, okay, let's turn the whole project around. And now we are going exactly in that direction. We are already working on that project with a steering group. Could you please show the next slide? Okay, so we already talked about that. Our steering group, which has been introduced a few months ago, Just for you as a small information, includes companies like we have a big German logistics company who is already settled here in our logistics hub, which is Karl Ditchinger. And he already gave us his, let's say, intention to invest in case this project would be realized. So we already have an investor. This is a logistics company. Then, of course, we were talking to the Parma Food Group, which is one of the companies the Agrifood Cluster introduced to us, and even that group could be interested in managing the food hub. Okay. Then we have talks with banks, etc., who could also be interested in somehow supporting the realization of the project. Then we have equipment producers. Big equipment producers. I don't know if you know SIN Kukla, which is one of the biggest in Europe. You know, magari, for instance, how it is called, the Italian one, Bezzetta? No. However, the slicing machines, okay? Then we have Ordner Group, which is a supplier of white rooms. And yeah, he is also interested in supplying us. Then we have the KWF, which is that is the Corinthian Economic Promotion Fund, which is funding this project. We have the city of Villach. Then we have consultancy companies that assist us, and of course we have two universities or research institutions that want to help us, because we are not only offering services and logistics services and processing services, we also want to become a let's say, as you called it, a demo farm for the farmers and the companies in order to test their new machinery, to test I don't know, the production, to test new innovative I don't know, designs or packagings, etc. Next, please. And this is just what I already told you, but this is what the FITA is to be all about. So it's really an innovation center focusing on the SMEs and the farmers themselves. We will offer subcontracting services. We are going to become this demo park, so a center for testing, development, and training, of course. We are going to offer services and consultancies. Later on, I can show you what exactly we mean. So this is services about, I don't know, quality management services. This is all about what do we need in order to export our products in other countries. How should the etiquette or the label be like, etc., etc. Then even, as I already told you, a research and development center. Next, please. So who are we addressing and where are we going to go? So our so-called suppliers would be, of course, international players from Austria, Germany, Italy, and let's say Slovenia, Croatia, etc. But also national producers of every kind of dimension, and the regional producers. And as I already said, told you, our regional producers are more like SMEs and small farmers. Everything will come together in our logistics center. If or whenever the products have then be processed, and later on I will tell you how, everything is then from Fürnitz, from Villach, from the logistics hub being sent to retailers and wholesalers in Austria, to other countries. And yeah, of course, this is what I told before. This is the process that we can offer. So all kinds of foods in different dimensions, already sliced, because we know that there are products that can only be sliced or processed in Italy and can be sent here then, where we can maybe repack them, etc., etc. So many different services we can offer from meat, sausages, fruits and vegetables, yogurt, cheeses, etc., etc. We also kept us an open option, let's say, in case there might be no request of a slicing center or slicing services, we can also only realize a consolidation center, so a logistics center for those companies. Next, please. I guess the slides are going to be sent to everybody, so I'm just trying to keep me short, so you will have time then to go through everything. So what is new here? Okay, I didn't tell you what are the lines of subcontracting and processing we are going to offer. So we are thinking about 6 areas, 6 lines, or at least 1 line of each area. So the processing of smoked goods, cooked goods, cheese, dairy products, fruits and vegetables. Next, please. So here you can see what did we think of. So we had a lot of talks with Austrian companies, some talks with Slovenian companies, and some talks with Italian companies. The next steps will be to see much more companies. We were even, just to tell you, in contact with the Consorzio del Prosciutto di Modena, for instance, so even in Emilia Romagna, who showed a big interest, but there we need to have some, let's say, deeper going meetings in order to see exactly what they would be in need of. So just, I don't know, some examples. There would be the cooling technology, freeze drying, for instance, cutting, chopping, slicing, then even other technologies like the HPP, that even the Parma Food Group is offering, because I guess this is really what is needed in the future to make all the food more safer. Next, please. In the fields of R&D, I already told you we are going to see, I don't know, new packaging materials, new packaging techniques, going for more hygiene procedures, disinfection procedures. So everything that comes to R&D can be handled in our R&D center. Next, please. In terms of services and consultancy, there will also be this, I didn't tell you that, a microbiological testing center. So there companies can test and control the products, okay, and have a quality check made. Then we will offer product certifications, as I already told you, expansion advice, how can you, I don't know, go for further markets, what do you need there, and everything that comes to logistics. So we will have warehouses with, how do you say, freezing cells, etc., cooling cells, and you can handle everything there, repack, etc. So this is only a short, let's say, excerpt of our project. We are really in the phase of development. We are now going to ask the region for a prolungamento. So how do you say, for extension, project extension. We were asked to finalize the project in August this year, but we are not there still. So in this moment, we are trying to reach out for a company that can manage for us a market study, because the market study, but including quantities, is the most important we need, okay? We already know the companies that there are, we know everything. We know that there is a demand, but we don't know the quantities. And without quantities, it will be really hard to realize such a center. But this is where we are now, and we are going forward, and still with a tight cooperation, let's say, with the cluster of Friuli Venezia Giulia, and I hope also with Emilia Romagna then in future. And whenever our hub will be there, our food hub and food cluster, I would be really happy to cooperate with all of you that are here today. Thank you very much for questions. Of course, I'm here.
Thank you, Natasha. I think it is very important to combine in this type of meetings different segments of the value chain, not only production and processing, but also distribution, logistics, because the value is has to be shared among all these stakeholders. Okay, now we continue with the speech of Devile Gasparadisiut, of EU Project Manager of ACTA, speaking about the Digital Innovation Hub Cluster lead for France and other good practices. Please, Devile.
Yes, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I am Devile Gasparadisiut, European Project Manager at ACTA, the French network of the Technical Agricultural Institutes in France. I am very pleased to present to you today the ecosystem of the regional cluster France within the Smart Agri-Hubs project. So in the next slide, we see the Smart Agri-Hub project in general, and I guess there is no need in presenting the project in details. Just let me quickly remind you that the main objective of this project is to connect the dots of the European agri-tech network to boost the uptake of digital solutions by the farming sector. In order to do so, Smart Agri-Hubs network is combined by four basic concepts, which are competence centers, digital innovation hubs, innovation experiments, and flagship innovation experiments. This is an ongoing project that started in 2018 and that will end at the end of this year in October. In order to facilitate the coordination, the project is structured into 9 regional clusters. One of them is the regional cluster France. So let's focus on it. In the next slide, you see that the French cluster is led by 2 organizations. First, the Pays de la Loire Regional Council, and the second, ACTA, French Network of Technical Agricultural Institutes. These 2 structures are both at the core of digital innovation in agriculture, and they help develop the network in France. At this day, in French network, we have 15 DigiFarms, which are digital test farms, more than 30 digital innovation hubs, and more than 50 competence centers and 3 flagship innovation experiments. As one of the regional cluster members of the Smart Agri-Hubs network, French cluster has several missions for all agricultural sectors. So the first mission is to strengthen and coordinate networks of innovative actors to promote developments of digital innovations. The second is to foster their dissemination among stakeholders, actors of the whole agri-food chain. And finally, is to connect French initiatives with other 8 regional clusters. So the French regional cluster, as other clusters, are very open to cooperation and collaboration. Alongside with the 3 main missions, an additional mission is to support the development of 3 FIEs, or French flagship innovation experiments, that we have in France. And you can see here a short summary of them. So the first one is called Agrifarm Lab, ended at the beginning of the 2021. This is an accelerator of innovative solutions in farm. The second one, DigiPilot, or in French, DigiPilot, ended in November 2021, and it gives strategic advice to wheat farmers. And StrataGeek ended in March 2022, relies on key performance indicators to support strategic decisions. So I will present in detail only 2 of them today, the ones that are most relevant for this webinar. So let's start with Agrifarm Lab. The aim is to accelerate the emerging and propagation of innovative solutions in farms. The main action is the establishment of an interface, or I would say just an active network between farmers and their realities in the field, then the innovators, SMEs and startups, and the entire innovation ecosystem of the Pays de la Loire region in France. It is also a place allowing companies to mature alongside those who know agriculture, and in this way to test their solutions before commercialization. A call for applications was launched to determine which innovations will be presented to a network of farmers and receive support from partners, and an endowment of 20,000 euros for 2 years. So 5 winners were selected from the 25 applicants. So the winners are Optimis, MyBacus, Baoba, Advancy, and Mobi project. So all these innovations are being developed with the help with Agrifarm Lab, with the support as well. The next flagship innovation experiment in France is Stratégique, which is led by Arbelis, Institut Végétal, Plant Institute, with 3 other French stakeholders. It is a tool. In the next slide, you can see that this is a tool to help make strategic choices in measuring performances of cropping systems. So the tool provides key performances indicators at the field level to help farmers define the best suited farming strategies. And in order to do so, the tool uses standardized and scientifically robust calculation methods. In this way, users can precisely describe the functioning of a cropping system and assess the impact of individual choices in real time. And these calculations are made by the tool, are available as an application programming interface to allow interconnections between several innovative services. And one of the main results of Stratégique is a web app named Clust-ER to calculate key performances indicators at field level. So the strategic advice was assessed in 3 DigiFarms, a network that I will introduce to you later. So it was assessed in these farms and at national scale as well. So some demonstration and training of the tool took place in the fall last year, and finally the priority needs of different stakeholders were gathered as well. So as mentioned before, the French cluster has a wide network of competence centers and digital innovation hubs. So I wanted to present one of them, DigiFarm. It's a digital innovation hub, and it is a network of experimental farms that promote a vision of connected agriculture. Its objective is to improve and increase digital agriculture in France that meets the needs of farmers. This network is open to digital companies, startups, agriculture organizations, and all those who want to advance agriculture. So as it can be seen from the map, there are 15 farms members of DigiFarm from animal production and arable sectors. Each farm is supported by a research, development, and innovation structure, which allows them to rely on their methodological excellence and conduct objective and evaluations of new technologies. Then you see the main areas of work of of this structure. It is tactical management, the digitalization of agricultural equipment, strategy and economy of the digital farm. It means management of multi-year data, work organization, market prices, like everything that is connected with digital technology to optimize the whole of the farmer's job. And a data enhancement, so reliability and real-time data that enable greater reactivity and efficiency. And DigiFarms carry out two types of actions. So three types of actions. So networking, evaluations, and co-construction. This network, we can see how it brings together different services and infrastructures for digital transformation without creating any more connections. It just brings all the stakeholders in one place to let them grow together. So to conclude, if you are interested in regional cluster France, in our activities, here are the future events where you can meet us. So it will be 2 events in June and 1 in September. If you want to meet or just do not hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions. And many thanks for your intention to learn more about this project and our regional cluster. You can also visit Innovation Portal to discover the whole European digital ecosystem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dovile. I think that your presentation is very important in order to strengthen a sort of network of digital hubs and demo centers, and very useful for the growth of the whole sector. And okay, I think that Nicolas is connected, and I invite therefore Nicolas Nguyente, manager of the Agrisud West Innovation, for his presentation of the project DIVA X. Please, Nicolas.
Thank you, Marco. I will switch off my camera. I'm not in a club, but I won't tell you where I am to keep the secret. So I switch off my camera. Okay. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
So thank you for the invitation, first of all, and I was very glad for that, because I'm really pleased to share the experience that we had with our partners in DIVA and then DIVA X. To introduce myself very quickly, so I am Nicolas Nguyente. I work for Agrifood West Innovation, so we are a pole de competitivité in southwest part of France. We are the headquarters in Toulouse, and personally I live in Montpellier. So I will talk about the DIVA X proposal initiative that is a cycle of the DIVA projects, and we got the support of the Smart Agri Hub program for this. If you can pass the slide. So very briefly about DIVA. DIVA was an industry project that we finished last year. So we were very satisfied by the project. I guess that Cluster, you know that because Marco, you were involved also in this project. So we had very nice figures. We managed to have 2.7 million euros of vouchers distributed to companies. We managed to support 130 projects representing 180 companies from 9 countries. So very satisfying, very interesting. At the same time, you can see that among the projects that were collaborative, only 1/3 of them were transnational. That's not even all the vouchers that we had, but some of them were the collaborative configuration was compulsory. And among these projects, particularly for the demonstration projects, we only had 1/3 of them who were cross-border. So it's positive. I mean, it's not that bad, but at the same time, what we said in the consortium was to say that we have to work at this aspect, because we should do better than that, and we wanted to go further by getting the people exchange better with each other, get closer to each other, and that's why we proposed a new initiative. So if you can pass the slide. So our observations, that's the case in France also, but that was a shared opinion in the different DIVA countries. So innovation is driven by small companies, SMEs, startups. Opening to Europe and internationalization is a very great opportunity for them, but at the same time, most of the time they don't have time. They don't have time for that. They don't have the staff for that, and they lack understanding of what's happening for them and the opportunity that they can have at a European level. So the observation is to say there is a low level of information on the EU opportunities. There is globally a low level of knowledge about the situation in other countries, a low participation at EU level, either in European projects or different events, and logically there is a low level of cross-border collaboration, and that's really what we want to improve. So if you can pass the slide. So what we submitted, what we proposed to Smart AgriHub was to work particularly on two kinds of services. So we answered. So we, in the same way as CREDAS won the call, we have the same promotion of CREDAS to develop new services, and particularly to work with six of the former DIVA projects and four Euro countries. Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal. So what we want to do, next slide, is first of all to bring knowledge. So that was the first issue that we wanted to face: bring knowledge and give the possibility for people to meet together and exchange. So we wanted to organize a webinar, but we know that people are saturated now with webinar, and it's very difficult to catch the attention of people just with a webinar. So we wanted to propose something a bit different, a bit innovative. That's why our challenge is to propose a fair, a digital fair, and you can see the illustration of it on the picture on the right. So people will have an avatar, and they will really have the possibility to cross in the corridors. There will be some stands or some booths. There will be a poster sessions. People will be able to meet in the same way as in a normal fair. They will have the list of all the participants, the attendees, and so they will be able to ask for a meeting. And so on this platform there will be some place quiet where they can meet and talk to each other. At the same time, we'll have some rooms to give information through conference and workshops. So it's a bit challenging for us. We have never done that before. It's a bit frightening because it's most probably it will be very messy. I know that some people are a bit scared of being completely in the matrix with an avatar, so that can be a bit frightening. At the same time, I think it can be quite a new experience. So we mix on the advantage of the digital solution, because we have a wider impact that if we do that face to face, and at the same time we will be able to give information and give the possibility for people to meet. The focus is the same as for DIVA, so digital solutions for the agri-food sector, and we will make a focus more particularly on the agriculture aspects of it. And this will be organized on the 21st of June. So it's no more a save the date because there is a link now to register. But if you're interested, I can send it to you, and it will be with pleasure that we'll host you on the platform. So the second bunch of service that we want to provide is, we call it a EU Innovation Factory. The idea is that we really want to help companies to build cross-border projects, and what we will do is really to provide the support of an expert team of 4 different countries with international experts, and we will provide expertise in terms of project engineering, IPR management, markets dimensioning, and business model. So the 4 countries and the 6 partners that I mentioned the slide before, we have different competencies, and we are really complementary. And the idea is that if there is a company with a project, then we help the company to mature the idea, find a good solution, funding solutions, find partner potentially, and build the project. So this will be open till the 13th of September, because there is the end of Smart Agri Hub afterwards. But it's a very short, of course, and we don't we don't expect to have a fully completed project by the end of September. But at least the objective is to identify companies that are willing to develop cross-border projects, and then even after the 13th of September, we'll be able to support them, to bring them to apply for a call for project. And among others, different funding opportunities, we want to focus more particularly on the funding opportunities that are really for SMEs. I'm thinking of cascade funding projects typically. And for instance, we know that there is one which is open at the moment, proposed by DIH World. I strongly believe also in the interest of the Eurostar program. We know the configuration required for the Eurostar program is very, very affordable. I mean, we just need 2 organizations from 2 different countries. So it can be Spain, France, and Italy, and it really deals with innovation project. That's typically the kind of funding opportunity that we are looking for. And the success rate is quite good, because as far as I know, the average rate in the former program, Eurostar program, was about 30%. So if the companies really have the time to prepare their project and mature the ideas and really define the perimeter, they have a good chance to win. So that's the purpose of the DIVA-X projects, DIVA-X initiatives. We call it DIVA-X because it's a sequel of DIVA, and we really want to continue. And DIVA-X means that it's like a sequel. It's like a TEDx, the TED Talk, and TEDx. If you really want to work with us afterwards on other DIVA-X initiatives, you will be very welcome. So that's all from my side for the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Well, I'm glad that the DIVA consortium, the DIVA partnership, has produced a follow-up, DIVA-X. And as you told before, I also participated in the implementation of the first DIVA, so I'm glad about it. And also about the fact that it is very important to facilitate the participation of small enterprises to international programs and transnational projects, because it is also a very important occasion to open new markets and to diversify their productions. So I think the objective of DIVA-X is very focused and very good. So now we can continue with the next speaker, Alberto Campo and Esteban Pelayo, presenting the initiative Cluster Meet Regions, which is a very interesting initiative to allow the European collaboration among regions. So please, Alberto and Esteban.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting us to explain this opportunity. Well, we are going to explain about we EURADA, as a part of the consortium of the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. We are going to explain the Cluster Mid-Regions conferences, and you can pass the slide. So, and the next one, yeah. So what is the European Cluster Collaboration Platform? It's the European online hub for industry clusters, and it's funded by the European Commission. Its mission is to incentive collaboration among entities and clusters to help us strengthen the European economy, making it more competitive and sustainable, and to improve the performance of Europe's economy and industry in terms of productivity, innovation, internationalization, and resource efficiency. I've led the link there, and I'm going to share it through the chat in case you want to check it. You will find there all information about the ECCP. That's how we call it. And if you can pass the slide, you will find what can the ECCP do for you. It has many tools and services for clusters organizations, clusters partnerships, initiatives, and networks. And for instance, it enables, the ECCP enables to network in an efficient way and develop collaboration within and beyond Europe, support the emergence of new value chains through cross-sectoral and cross-industrial cooperation, and enables the access to the latest quality information on clusters development through news, announcements, and events. But there are also services. And there in the platform, you can find dynamic mapping of over 100,000 profile cluster organizations worldwide, the latest news on open calls to our community, and well, there are also an extensive knowledge databases featuring, for instance, a mapping of regional and national, international, and sectoral clusters network toolkits and publications developed by the ECCP. But essentially, there are events. For instance, there are matchmaking events, which are events intended to be one-on-one meetings. But the mains that we are involved are the cluster mid-regions events. And if you can pass the slides, we are going to explain what is cluster mid-regions. To the next one. Cluster mid-regions consists of a series of regional conferences that aim to achieve greater public-private collaboration between clusters and regional authorities when implementing industrial and economic development policies, especially the smart specialization strategy. In particular, the aim is to ensure that regional authorities see clusters as partners in defining and implementing measures for digitalization, sustainable development, and resilience. Moreover, clusters must be aware of their importance and must want to be protagonists in this process. So, the task of cluster mid-regions involves these 4 activities, but the main one are the regional workshops, because all of them are connected with the regional workshops. The compendium of good practices is a list of entities that are the previous slide. Yes, that are developing activities towards the implementation of these policies. The input paper. It's a document that it's well published before each regional workshop to explain the framework of the regional policies about the smart specialization, especially the clusters policies. And the C2 Lab is a small workshop linked also to regional workshops, but not only linked to that, that tries to explain also this kind of policies. So focusing on regional workshops to reinforce the connection between clusters and regional actors, 15 transnational workshops are being held over the course of the period of 2 years. These workshops will bring together clusters and policymakers in the local, regional, and national level to work on strengthening the industrial ecosystem of selected hosted regions. Workshops, as I said, will tackle topics such as investment opportunities, S3 priorities, entrepreneurial discovery process, and governance settings. And the workshops are being held in hybrid mode, so you can attend it in person or online. So 2 events has been already taking place. One of them has been in Malaga, and the other has been in Vilnius. We can pass the slide. And the next one, sorry, because this one, yeah. So the event in Malaga, there are some data about it. It was the pilot event, and it was the kickoff of the series, and it was as a parallel event to the Foro Transfiere, which is a big fair that gathers more than 3,000 professionals of the sector. And in the cluster mid-regions, which was, as I said, a parallel event, we had the opportunity to have as speakers representative of the ministry, Spanish Ministry of Industry, of the regional authorities related to clusters policy, and also high-level authorities from the European Commission, such as Ulla Engelmann. In the as you have seen there were 122 participants, and we had the opportunity on the second day to have a pitching session, and there was also 2 site visits on the Malaga's technology park. And the attendees had the opportunity to know the digital innovation hub of Malaga, and also some entities that are involved on the industrial ecosystem. And in Vilnius, it was the second. Is in the next slide. The Vilnius event was the second workshop, and it was held last April in Lithuania. This 7 focused on the supply chain and value chain repair in the face of disruptions in the current context. And it was also attended by high-level authorities from the Ministry of Economy of Lithuania. And it was also attended by Terry Breton, which is the Commissioner of the European Commission for the Internal Markets. We have more or less the same number of participants, well, not the same exactly number of participants as in Malaga, from 26 different nationalities, but especially was focused on the Baltic region, sorry. And there were also 61 cluster representatives, but we had a representation from not only clusters, but also from business companies, public institutions. In fact, there were 22 public institutions representatives coming from the European Commission, coming from different levels of regional authorities. But also we had the participation of regional development agencies and SMEs. If you can pass the slide, a call for expression of interest, as you can see, will be published well in the next weeks for those regions that wants to hold this kind of events. It will touch the local and regional authorities, but also innovation agencies, cluster organizations, businesses, networks, organizations, and other SME intermediates. Well, it's true that it's a big opportunity to those that want to have more engagement from the public authorities to develop the clusters policies. So in case you are interested in hosting a cluster in the regions, there are some tips that we have prepared in the next slide. So it's just, I'm going to try to be really, really fast. The agenda, it's expected to be a 2-day event, and the structure, as we have there, is for the first day. On the first day, the workshop takes place in all the authorities participate in the opening, and the cluster policy is presented and structured according to the development priorities of the territory, ensuring that it has an impact. And clusters and regional authorities from other bordering countries are invited to facilitate cooperation in the priority areas of the organizing territory. And on the second day, a practical activity will be carried out to facilitate cooperation between the actors. And this activity can consist of a pitching session, a matchmaking event, and or a visit to companies. And the SCCP provides the support to organize and arrange all the things with the venue and the technicalities. And we also support providing the input paper describing the cluster policy in the territory. But there's one thing, that the budget has to be provided by the hosting entity. As I said, it's an hybrid event, so there is a need to find professional technical support for the streaming of the conference. It's mandatory, or at least very important, to involve regional authorities in the event, including public representatives in the agenda. And higher level, the better. There is also an important thing, which is the format of the sessions. They need to be dynamic sessions. It's not expected to have a PPT behind and just explaining it. They expect, or we expect, to have like open debate sessions where the public can be involved and can participate on them, and have a concrete outcome. For instance, in Malaga and Vilnius, we had the good news because the regional authorities agreed on continuing the conversations to develop a regional policy according to the needs of the clusters and also to the regional economic development. And well, as the event is expected to reach 100 people, the venue must have the characteristics that in line with the type of these events. And it's advisable to include in the agenda pitching sessions and site visits to have an approach to the regional and local industrial ecosystem. So that's all from my side. And now I will give the floor to Esteban.
Hello, good morning. I'm going to give you 5 ideas, practical ideas that we got from the 2 events, cluster mid-region events that we have organized. As my colleague Alberto has explained to you, there is a clear structure of this type of a conference, where we have, for example, the introduction with the main constraints of the cluster policies in a certain territory, the priorities of the territories and how can be solved, and as well, one of the key elements in the conference are the interregional cooperation. There is a special session of interregional cooperation. If you could pass the slide, and what I'm going to show you is the 5 examples of agriculture and food technologies that we have been discussed in Malaga and in Lithuania. In Malaga, we started with an interesting presentation from Karel Hagemann. He is one of the experts of the Smart Specialization Platform in Seville, belonging to the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. And he gave the most interesting overview of instruments for interregional cooperation. he emphasized a lot in the S3P thematic platforms. As probably you know, the regions that have same priorities and want to cooperate in the field of their smart specialization have 3 different platforms that we call in energy, in agri-food, and in industrial modernization. And belonging to each of them, they are partnership where they develop specific things and cooperate among them. So, and especially there is one, as I said, an umbrella platform connected with agri-food that maybe is interesting for you, because belonging to that, there are 8 thematic platforms on that field of those regions who want to cooperate in this topic. And Karel Hagemann as well gave us an overview of other instruments that could help and to apply what is being discussed in the platform by the regional authorities in a specific project. One of the best and is open call for project is the Interregional Innovation Investment Initiative, the I3 that you have there, that supports supports the technological cooperation among different actors in territories, and we think that is as well, we agree that is quite relevant. The next deadline will be in October. As well, he proposed us to consider the calls of Horizon Europe for ecosystem, which are very relevant. As you know for sure, the European Innovation Technology Institute, the KIC, there is a KIC in food that is as well very relevant. And for sure to explore the national and the recovery funds that will support that, and in your case, the Euro clusters. I will explain you a little bit later with one example, the S3P platform that you will know. So if you could pass the slide and we start with the example. So one of them was given by Kristina Smerkusnite Alesiuine. She is the director of the Cluster Agrifood in Lithuania, which is as well a digital innovation hub. And she explained to us, and you are going to have this type of example, how is good the connection of the digital transition and the agri-food cluster and how we could cooperate. She considered that her cluster and the digital innovation hub has to operate as a role as a facilitator, providing opportunities to the companies and bringing them the possibilities to cooperate elsewhere with other territories. And one of the main elements that she was carrying out and implementing are events. So they organize many Baltic events like Agri-Food Forum, and they have, for example, connected with that a hackathon for agri-food companies with more than 100 companies proposing challenge, and in the last edition in 2021, and 50 teams solving those challenges. So they have as well, as you know, Baltic Sea is very polluted and they have cooperation with that, and they have been as well profiling, which is another interest option for you to as an inspiration on the European Union level with a workshop in the Industry Days, which are the main forum of interrelation between European Commission policymakers and companies. If you could pass the slide, I will present you another example, the one of the S3P platform, and I will finish with Andalusia. So the Regional Ministry of Agriculture is coordinating since 2014 one of those platforms on traceability and big data. You could see there the partners, and among them is the other leader is the Emilia Romagna. So that's why I bring here, and there they work since 2014. I had the opportunity as well to be there in 2014. They try to figure out how to cooperate for the better integration and help and cooperate of the companies and connected with them. And what I wanted to point out, which is quite relevant, if it is you are interested on that, first, they are achieving more and more specific results. Even if you see a lot of partners there, they are a smaller configuration where they are developing projects inside the partnership of traceability and big data. So you could figure out and have your role there. even if you don't have your regions involved, because normally these partnerships are led by regions that want to work together. But Ms. Noemi Molina, who was one of the experts in the regional administration, said that clusters and competence centers could be associated to the platform and made a, to the partnership and made an invitation to all of you. So even if you're, normally you should go with your regional authority, but if your regional authority is not willing to work on there, they will welcome you as well. If you could pass, I will give you an example in Lithuania. In Lithuania, as my colleague has explained to you, we not only discuss about cluster policies, but as well, as Alberto said, we had the challenge of the China veto of the Lithuanian products, and especially the disruption in the value chain caused by the war in Ukraine. And there we have a very good example from Susanna Bader Jorgensen from the Danish Food and Bio Cluster, who said that national cluster in Denmark is compulsory for them to have an international strategy. So this is something that is requested by the government, and they are applying since 10 years. And a strategy is very relevant in order to provide meaningful impact when we are talking about companies. And she point out the local, let's say, the regional cooperation, talking about the Baltic countries and the Baltic Sea and the Nordic countries, and she emphasized how good is the enterprise Europe networks as an instrument to support cooperation in companies, that they are dealing with the missions in Japan, in Hannover Messe, in Anuga Foods. That was the week after of the event that we organized. And as well, and sorry for the self-promotion, the events organized by the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. And if you pass, I will give you the last example from Jedrus Bagusinkas, who said that around 70% of the activities of his cluster in Lithuania, he's the director of the Lithuanian Smart Food Cluster, are with international partners. Lithuania is a very open economy, very internationalized. That's why they are solving the difficulties that they are facing with the China veto, and as well the disruption for being neighbors of the conflict in Ukraine. He mentioned how difficult it was at the beginning when they established the cluster to be known and to have international partners to establish projects with them. But nowadays, after some years, there is like a snowball effect, and one successful partnership calls to others, and they are taking a lot of projects in COSME with Austria, with Catalonia, and mainly with the Baltic Sea and Nordic countries. And in particular, in the Baltic Sea region, they are developing an interesting training for cluster managers, several regions and countries there that has been followed already by 20 cluster managers that he considered appropriate. So they are working as well, and they have experience in Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. And as you can see, the main way to provide meaningful impact to the stakeholders of the cluster is organizing B2B events or promotion in trade fairs or any other cooperation. And if you pass the slide, I will say you that this is all from our side. So as my colleague Alberto Campo said to you, this is an instrument for helping policymakers to understand the benefit of clusters for the implementation and design of their policy. So it's how regions could better use the cluster. This is the conference Cluster Miss Region. We are going to open a call during this summer to select 13 European regions that will organize this type of international events, and we will be very pleased to support any of you or anybody who has more interest on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alberto and Esteban. Very useful information, and also I'm glad about the fact that Andalusia region is also present today. As you told before, there is a sort of co-leadership in one of the S3 European platforms. I refer to traceability and big data. Thanks also to the support of our regional partner ARTER, which is the consortium of Emilia-Romagna region for the promotion of innovation. And it is also present here today with us, with one of our colleagues, Lucia Mazzoni. I know that there is also the presence of Maria José Valverde about Andalusia region, and I'm glad about it. I have to say that this partnership is particularly fruitful also because thanks to the participation in this European sub-platform, we had the opportunity to propose some concrete project ideas to our stakeholders and enterprises. I remember also a specific project involving producers and final consumers in the food sector in terms of application of digital tools for the enhancement of quality food. And the same happened in another sub-platform, high-tech farming, with the coordination of Tuscany region, because one of our member companies participated in the development in a project related to the reduction of dust in the poultry farms. So it is very important to enhance this type of collaboration because the positive benefits are very useful for the regional stakeholders. I would like, thanks to all the speakers, I would like to start the final session about the discussion with the first question addressed to Alberto and Esteban, in particular related to the opportunity cluster meat regions. So as far as I understood, regional actors can present their proposal, and if I understood well, a proposal can also be related to interregional collaboration. I mean, collaboration between two or more different regions. Is it correct?
Yes, it's like that. Imagine in your case that Arter, who is coordinating that, and by the way, the president of Jurada is from Arter. I must say that this is a small word. And Arter, the development agency of the territory or even the regional government, wants to showcase and organize a conference to discuss how better use clusters in design and regional policies. So this is the issue. And we normally not intend, because it's an event of the European Commission with the European Cluster Collaboration, not to do only in one region. It's to organize in a territory. So that the idea is, imagine that you organize that, so we expect that the area consider your neighbor countries will participate there. So, and we will have discussions during one day about how to better implement policies using the companies, because at the end it's a grouping of the more innovative, dynamic, cooperative companies in a territory. And during the second day as well, we will, as my colleague Alberto Campo explained to you, we will organize matchmaking sessions or pitching session or company visit in order not to just discuss, which is as well relevant for mutual learning, but as well to make for the people possible to have bilateral conversations to agree in things that that they could do locally. And normally the priorities should be aligned with the regional government. Normally the priorities of the smart specialization strategies we combine. So don't expect to organize just a food unless it's a very agriculture territory or food territory in Europe. Normally regions has 3-4 priorities. For example, in Andalusia, agriculture was one of the priorities, but as well they have aeronautics and transport. And in Lithuania, by coincidence, as well was agriculture with the relevance of the value chain. So it's now I think it's a priority in whole Europe, but in Lithuania was like that as well.
Very
so
good.
welcome to regions.
Very good. This is an important heritage of knowledge and opportunities, the regional dimension. Thanks. And when it is expected to the next call to be open?
You answer.
This year? Within this year?
Yes, within this year, and I'll say within the next month or during the summer.
Okay.
Okay. But it's not a call like a project call. It's something with an outline. What we have prepared is an outline of what you intend to do. It's not like writing a lot of pages. It's something simple.
Yes, it will be like a document with key points and how to proceed, how to apply the needs and so on. And each region that wants to organize this type of events can just apply, and it will be an evaluation of the application, and then it will go.
Very good. Thanks. Thank you very much for the information. And now we can open officially the final session about questions to speakers. So please open your microphones and cameras if you want to make questions, and also if you want to present the situation in your particular region, about the topic of optimization and the mutualization of resources and efforts in your region or country. And do you work trans-regionally is also another point of the discussion. What works, what does not work. So a brief comment about your particular situation in your region. So I invite all of you to intervene or to pose questions. Yes, in fact, Celia in the chat mentioned to all, you can open your mics and speak or write your questions in the chat. Please use the raise the hand function if you'd like to speak. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Celia, for the clarification. And while we are waiting for the first questions or comments, maybe Pierpaolo or Ilaria or Michela, can you make maybe a first comment or a first question to the other speakers or participants?
Okay, I hope you can hear me well. We were interested in discussing with all the participants this issue. What do you think about competition? Is the competitive scenario abandoning, let's say, cross-border cooperation, competition in favor of a cooperation without borders? So the leveraging on complementary competencies and creating and activating synergies. Do you think that we are evolving towards that model based on the experiences you are realizing, you're performing in your territory?
Thank you, Ilaria. Who wants to intervene to make a comment? Or maybe, Ilaria, are you addressing the question to a specific person?
For example, we would like to hear the perspective of Natasha concerning this, the experience that she has presented to us. We think that it is a very interesting case of openness of an innovation and regional ecosystem to our cross-border area, starting from acknowledging that in order to be competitive at international level, we have to open the borders and broaden our horizon and activate synergies and collaboration, and offering also services and opportunities to SMEs that also come from our neighboring countries and regions.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. So exactly. So it's what you said. We need to open our minds and our borders in mind to come closer to this European Union, even in the food sector. And I'm really keen to try to get as much as possible connections in that field of activities. And I tried a lot even in the other countries. But so as I said before, in northern Italy, Slovenia. But I assume that with Friuli Venezia Giulia, it has been the best cooperation example that I encountered in the last 2 years. So really open-minded and open for new ideas. Because what I found, for instance, in Slovenia, on my first steps, let's say, in trying to get in contact with other institutions, was sort of a border in the mind. So we need to protect our companies, and there is no need to offer maybe services from other countries, etc. So I was really surprised when I was the cluster, the agro-food cluster of Friuli Venezia Giulia, answered to my email and was really open and interested, etc. So I guess this is what brings us all together and forward.
Thank you,
I
Natasha.
don't know if I answered your question.
Ilaria, do you want to briefly reply?
Yes, we agree, because we have seen from this experience, but also in the framework of CREDAS project, that we have limited resources, but a lot of opportunities, and we need to exploit complementary competencies, services, infrastructures that are available in other neighboring territories, so that we can, it is a win-win, let's say, operation to bring together and our innovation systems, as well as our infrastructure and competencies and services, to the benefit of our companies, because otherwise the innovation process will be slower and the impact will be achieved in a longer time, and maybe in a longer time that this is what the market demands. So the collaboration across regions is crucial issues for us, and we are very committed to go on with all the international collaboration we have established in the recent years. And we strongly encourage also other clusters to go on with this kind of activities, because you start with, let's say, some key common points, but then from the mutual peer learning activities, exchange of best practices, you also broaden your activity to other fields, and the cooperation is very important to to improve the services and the innovation ecosystem framework conditions, let's say, for innovation of our company.
Yes, thank you, Ilaria and Natasha. As correctly Celia pointed out, the registration of this webinar will be made available on our YouTube channel of the Cluster Agrifood. You can see in the chat the link, and I think in general that this topic is particularly interesting, as also pointed out by Dovile and also by Nicolas in his intervention of DIVA-X. For that, I'm glad to understand that there is a follow-up of the former DIVA project, and also in order to reduce the sort of reluctance of the partners to open the head to internationalization and international activities and partnership, which is, in my opinion, very important for the growth of their specific businesses. And of course, good work to Nicolas and to the partners and to all the activities of the speakers. I don't know if there are no questions. I think that we can come to a sort of conclusion of the session, reminding the fact that, of course, we are at your disposal for receiving your questions via email, and in order to facilitate the exchange of knowledge. As said before, clusters are, first of all, facilitators of the exchange of information and exchange of opportunities for the companies and for the stakeholders. Again, thanks to all the speakers for their interesting presentation. Thanks to the PIC group for the availability. I remember also an interesting and successful event last year, organized together between the end of June and the 1st of July. Thanks to the Cluster Agrifood Friuli Venezia Giulia for the participation, and thanks to all the participants. Thanks to